The people of New York City were having a very difficult time during the summer of 1864. The Civil War was raging, fracturing the nation, and leaving families anxiously waiting for any news from the battlefront. The heat and humidity were relentless. Just when people thought they had reached the height of misery, an epidemic swept through the city with fever and death taking a toll. 38-year-old Reverend Robert Lowry was the pastor of the Hanson Place Baptist Church in Brooklyn. One evening, after an exhausting day of visiting some of the sick and dying members of his church community, he thought of the scripture in Revelation chapter 22, verse 1, which described, quote, "a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and the Lamb," end of quote. He wondered why some hymn writers did not focus their songs on the truth that friends and loved ones could be reunited one day at this beautiful river. The words of the hymn, "Shall we gather at the river," came to him, and he quickly wrote them down. Then he sat down at his parlor organ and composed the tune. Quote, "Shall we gather at the river, where bright angel feet have trod, with its crystal tide forever flowing by the throne of God? Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God." End quote. A reporter once asked Robert Lowry what his method was for writing hymns. His reply was, quote, "I have no method. Sometimes the music comes and the words follow, fitted insensibly to the melody. I watch my moods, and when anything good strikes me, whether words or music, and no matter where I am, at home or on the street, I jot it down. Often the margin of a newspaper or the back of an envelope serves as a notebook. My brain is sort of a spinning machine, I think, for there is music running through it all the time. I do not pick out my music on the keys of an instrument. The tunes of nearly all the hymns I have written have been completed on paper before I tried them on the organ. Frequently, the words of the hymn and the music have been written at the same time." End of quote. Reverend Lowry is credited with writing more than 500 hymn tunes, often composing both the text and music. However, he was reluctant to accept the title of hymn writer. He claimed that he would rather preach a gospel sermon to an appreciative congregation than write a hymn, and that writing hymns was a mere hobby. He even once said that he felt a sense of loss, that he came to be more well known for his hymns instead of his preaching. Robert Lowry told the following story about "Shall We Gather at the River." Quote, "It is brass band music, has a march movement, and for that reason has become popular, though for myself, I do not think much of it. Yet on several occasions I have been deeply moved by the singing of this very hymn. Going from Harrisburg to Lewisburg once, I got into a car filled with half-drunken lumbermen. Suddenly one of them struck up, 'Shall we gather at the river?' And they sang it over and over again, repeating the chorus in a wild and boisterous way. I did not think so much of the music then as I listened to those singers, but I did think that perhaps the spirit of the hymn, the words so flippantly uttered, might somehow survive and be carried forward into the lives of those careless men, and ultimately lift them upward to the realization of the hope expressed in the hymn." End of quote. In 1880, Robert Lowry attended a meeting in England which celebrated the 100th anniversary of the establishment of Sunday schools by Robert Raikes. Quote, "I was in London, and had gone to a meeting in the Old Bailey to see some of the most famous Sunday school workers of the world. They were present from Europe, Asia, and America. I sat in a rear seat alone. After there had been a number of addresses delivered in various languages, I was preparing to leave when the chairman of the meeting announced that the author of "Shall We Gather at the River" was present, and I was requested by name to come forward. Men applauded, and women waved their handkerchiefs as I went to the platform. It was a tribute to the hymn, but I felt after it was over that I had perhaps done some little good in the world. End of quote. Reverend Robert Lowry died at his home in Plainfield, New Jersey in 1899. However, the reluctant hymn writer's legacy today is not in the sermons he preached from the pulpit, but the hymns where he so ably preached the gospel through song. He is most famously known today for that hymn that he didn't think much of, "Shall We Gather at the River?" It has been printed in 695 hymnals, translated into many languages, and sung throughout the Christian world.